What's going on, everybody? I go by the name of Curry, and I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on SneakerPhetish. Sustainability and carbon neutrality have been two of the biggest topics leading the discussion on climate change lately, and the sneaker industry has been no stranger to those discussions. So much so that today we're going to look at a few sneakers from a few different brands, and we're going to talk about a few other brands that you may or may not have heard of that are doing their part to ensure a better tomorrow for ourselves and for our environment. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Now, normally this is where I would just show you guys a sneaker, but the first sneaker that we're going to take a look at today is from Nike. You guys have probably seen it a million times, but of course it starts with the box. We're talking about the Space Hippies. Now, we'll get into a little bit more about what the Space Hippie is once we take a look at the sneaker, but of course it begins with the box here. So as soon as you flip open the shipping box here, again, this is literally the box that they ship the shoe in. The first thing that you're going to see here is the Space Hippie design with the QR codes, the Nike insignias that say 01, 02, 03. I don't know why they don't include the 04. So I'm guessing that the 01, the 02, and the 03 are their own kind of group, and the 04 is something different. I'm not quite sure. And then underneath that, of course, it says Nike Trash Transform. Now, the biggest thing to note about this, again, number one, is that Nike got rid of the double boxing for their domestic operations. So again, if you ordered this sneaker from an overseas retailer, there's a good chance that it's actually going to come in another box. It's going to be double boxed. But if you order it directly from Nike, it's just going to come with the tape on it, just like this. So basically, you can't sell it on StockX at all. One more thing to note about the box is that this ink is a plant-based ink. So not only are they helping the environment by cutting down on all the boxes they're using, but they're also using a plant-based ink that doesn't contribute to their carbon footprint. Now, first things first, when you take this out of the box, you get this really, really nice bag here. Now, this actually looks like a shopping bag. You can take to Whole Foods. I don't know if that's plant-based ink on the bag as well, but of course it says Nike Space Hippie with the little, I call it the sunburst signal here with all the Nike swooshes on it. It's a really dope bag. Looks like mesh material here, but I'm guessing this is also used from the recycled yarn that we're going to talk about as well. Boom. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Nike Space Hippie 01. Now, first impression about this sneaker, it is incredibly light. Like, I feel like I could take this sneaker, like if you just got done working out and you pick this sneaker up, you could probably feel like you could just throw it like a mile down the road. It's incredibly light. You guys probably know everything that there is to know about the Space Hippie collection at this point. So I'm gonna run through the shoe pretty quickly because we got a lot of shoes to talk about, and we're gonna talk more so about what these brands are doing, more so than we're gonna dig into the materials, because again, you guys already know about the materials. But if you've been under a rock, real quick, the Space Hippie collection, the name actually came from space because astronauts have to put together anything that they can use when they're up in space. They lack materials a lot of times, so they have to put together whatever they have in order to make rudimentary objects in order to get what they need to get done. And then the hippie name, of course, just came from that peace, love, and harmony of the 70s type of vibe where people were really into natural things and earthy things and stuff like that. So Space Hippie. Now, the other dope thing about the 01, and this is why I think Nike is probably going to use this sneaker more in the future as opposed to the other models, is because this sneaker has the lowest carbon footprint. So if they want to really make sure that they get to that road to zero like they're trying to do for carbon emissions, they're going to want to lead that with the sneaker that has the lowest carbon emissions, which is this one. All right, starting with the upper of the sneaker here, the first thing to note is the Space Waste Yarn. That is the new name for this material here. Feels a little bit like canvas, but basically it's 85% recycled polyester that is made up of plastic bottles, t-shirts, and scraps. Literally, this is just t-shirts and plastic bottles ground up and woven into this new yarn material. It's pretty dope in concept. Now, it all came together somehow to come up with this overall grayish color, but if you look very, very closely, you can see little speckles of other colors as well, because naturally, as you're grinding all this stuff up, you're gonna see little pops of color from all the different things that you're using. Now, you get this wheat colored swoosh here that's woven in as well, so I don't know if they dyed that or not, or if this is actually just the color of some of the things that they would grind up in the space waste yarn, but it's really, really dope. I like that. Taking the top down, look at the sneaker here. The first thing you see is on the tongue right in the middle here. There's a little tag here. It says Nike twice on there, 01 at the bottom to tell you which one of the Space Hippies it is, as if you didn't already know. Also, the lacing system on these is really dope. It looks really futuristic, the way it's all woven throughout here with the laces kind of going in and out, weaving in and out. It looks like actually the laces are the eyelets. So there's a set of laces that serve as eyelets, and then the actual laces are woven throughout those laces, and the lace eyelets are held together with the space waist yarn. Really dope. Now, moving down from there, you have the infamous Crater Foam midsole. What exactly is Crater Foam? Simply put, it's basically what they did for the space waist yarn with foam materials. So they would grind up a bunch of different foam materials from thrown away sneakers, scrap parts, things of that nature. They would grind it all up to make this new midsole. Now, it's not just the foam that's in here. They also use a material that's called Nike Grind. Basically, it's ground up material also that's used from trash, from things that Nike would normally throw away, that would add again to their carbon footprint. They're recycling all of these things from different sneakers. They have the reuse a sneaker program or recycle a sneaker program where different customers, when they're done using their sneakers, they can actually bring their sneakers back in or drop them back off, and Nike will use that to create Nike Grind material to make new sneakers. And I like the way that it came out. It's dope because you see all the different specs of all the different materials. Again, it looks kind of like trash. If you put trash in a trash bag and a compactor and you grind it all up, it's probably going to look something like this with different specs of all the different things. So the cool thing about these sneakers is that they tell the story of probably 1,000 other sneakers and shoes and things of that nature. Maybe even samples that didn't even make it to production. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of stories being told in this material. Moving around to the outsole here, you have the same thing here, that Nike Grind mixed in with that Crater Foam. Really, really dope. And that's pretty much it for the Space Hippie 01. Overall, really, really dope shoe. A lot of people are saying it's extremely comfortable, and I like the direction that Nike is going in. But Nike just brought Jordan Brand into the mix to put these same materials on one of the most iconic sneakers in history. Let's take a look at those. Now, for the Jordans, I want to start with the box as well because I thought it was really dope. Move to Zero is Nike's journey towards zero carbon and zero waste to help protect the future of sport. So again, Nike and Jordan Brand are really, really dedicated to making sure that they're doing their part for the environment. On the front of the box here, it also says Move to Zero. The product is made with at least 20% recycled content by weight, which reduces weight and our carbon footprint. So really, really dope box. I like the way that this came together. Boom. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Air Jordan 1 Crater. It's an iconic Air Jordan 1 silhouette, but they use synthetic suede around the collar here and down the eyelets of the sneaker instead of real suede that, of course, is made from leather, made from animals, increases the carbon footprint, so on and so forth. So you can see the Wings logo inside of that synthetic suede. Right underneath that, you see the Zoom tag here. Now, this is one of the Zoom Air Jordan 1s as well. This is really dope. I like the way that Jordan Brand incorporated a new, more comfortable technology into an iconic sneaker. A couple of other brands could take a hint from that. Now, in addition to the synthetic suede, they also use that same 85% recycled polyester in the upper. Similar to the Space Hippie, you can also see the little colored specks woven throughout the upper of the sneaker as well. Now, this recycled polyester actually gives the sneaker a canvas type of feel, so it feels a little heavier. This isn't a summer shoe here. This really is a sneaker for the fall, but I do think that with the darker colors and with the heaviness of the sneaker, it's gonna be really, really fly for the fall. Taking the top down, look at the sneaker here. You also see the Zoom Air on the tongue here. Now, the interesting thing about this is that it has this little flash crimson stitching here, but if you look very closely, it's actually not stitched in there. The stitching is actually underneath the tag here. It's just this black stitching. So they kind of finesse us a little bit, but it looks like stitching, so I guess we'll just roll with it. Around the collar of the sneaker here, you also see this exposed foam here as well. Again, a lot of people have been saying that it looks a lot like Off-Whites, and I guess I'll roll with that. You know, maybe the Off-White collection was warming us up to the idea of wearing more deconstructed sneakers here. The Blazers, of course, have a deconstructed feel, so this isn't something new for Nike, but keeping in with the theme of sustainability, I can see why they did it, and it looks nice. Moving back around to the lateral side of the sneaker here, again, you get the synthetic suede swoosh. You also get this really nice flash crimson stitching that goes up and around the heel as well. Now, you're also gonna get a set of flash crimson laces with these if you want a little bit more pop of color. I see a lot of people probably are gonna use these laces, and if it were me, I would probably go ahead and throw the laces in there as well. It'll give it a nice pop of color. Moving down to the midsole of the shoe here, yet again, just like on the Space Hippies, you have this really nice crater material mixed in with the Nike Grind. Now, this does overall feel still like rubber, like the general rubber that we're used to seeing on Air Jordan 1s. So I don't know if they completely eliminated the rubber aspect of it, but they definitely did integrate that recycled material, the Nike Grind and the Crater Foam into these Jordan 1s as well. As far as the insole on these, you get a very, very bright flash crimson insole with that Zoom Air right on the heel. Not gonna lie, the insole is a little bit flimsy, but it is what it is because you do again get a full length Zoom Air unit in this sneaker. So they probably felt like the insole itself didn't have to be all that comfortable because the Air technology in the sneaker is super comfortable. I mean, just look at that full length Zoom Air unit in there. It's literally like you are walking on clouds. Very, very comfortable. And for a Jordan 1, you guys know, normally they're not that comfortable. And last but not least, my favorite part of the Jordan 1 Zoom Crater is the outsole. This outsole, the way that they did all this crater foam here, yes, I understand that it's just trash, grinded up and mixed together. Yes, I understand that it's an incredible sustainability initiative with Nike, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I just think it looks really, really dope. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe the way that it's just kind of this gray overall color with all the different specks of color in here. I don't know what it is, but just the full length crater foam underneath the outsole on this sneaker just makes it look really, really nice. And that's pretty much it when it comes to Nike and Jordan brands' entry into sustainability and their race to zero. Now, as I mentioned before, other brands have been using new sneakers and new silhouettes and even some celebrities to push that initiative. And we're gonna take a look at the newest offering from New Balance right now. Boom. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the New Balance Vision Racer by Jaden Smith. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Jaden Smith has his own sneaker, and this sneaker looks like a sneaker that Jaden Smith would design. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing. To me, it gives me kind of designer sneaker vibes, which are very popular these days. These look like a very practical pair of Balenciagas with this really, really thick midsole here. Now, according to New Balance, this sneaker was designed in Jaden's mind after his two favorite New Balance models, the X-Racer and the 1700. And I think it came out looking really good. I see a lot of people wearing them. They came out in a few different colorways, but let's take a little closer look at the sneaker itself. Overall, it's a dope looking New Balance here. You got the 3M New Balance here. We'll take a look at all the different 3M action because there really is some fly 3M action on this shoe as well. You got the mesh netting woven throughout the upper, hit with a little bit of that synthetic leather in the blue here on top as well. Now, I believe this is more synthetic leather on the upper of the sneaker here, woven throughout the eyelets. And of course, as you can see, you have this little yellow strip that goes all around the entire length and width of the sneaker here. And if you look very closely, it says Vision. Taking a top down look at the shoe here, you see the mesh netting in the vamp of the shoe. You move up and you also see Vision Racer on the tag as well. You get two sets of laces with these, the standard white set, and then you get this navy blue set. And if you look very, very closely on the lace tip, the lace tips also say Vision as well. Moving around to the heel of the shoe here, you get this translucent New Balance heel tab here. So really, really big New Balance logo on the back here, but it actually is completely clear. You can pretty much see straight through it. Now, moving down to this midsole that looks like an overinflated tire. What is it made out of? Basically, this midsole is made out of reground EVA foam and recycled foam as well. So it's a mix of different foams. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of EVA. I feel like it's a little bit cheap, but if they put it in here and they pumped it up this much, I'm sure that it probably is going to be able to stand the test of time for a little while in terms of comfort. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but for what it is and for what they're doing for the environment, you know, it's not bad. On the outsole of the sneaker, completely translucent outsole with that big pink Vision stamped underneath that. You can see it very big, very prominent. Last but not least, you have the insole of the sneaker. Now, I'm going to show you both sides because you can see it a little bit more pronounced on the back side of the insole. But on the front of the insole here, you have this really nice quilted material here, navy blue with that signature Jaden Smith autograph right on the heel. You can see on the back of the insole here, these different materials, all reground, all repurposed here. Now, apparently, this is also made with castor bean oil and virgin polyurethane. So this is a very, very environmentally friendly insole and sneaker. Taking a look at the 3M action on this sneaker, as you guys can see, there is quite a bit of 3M on this shoe as well. Starting here in the quarter panels of the shoe where the blue was, that blue looking leather, that's all 3M. Of course, you have the signature 3M N for New Balance. You also have 3M on that yellow piping going all the way around the entire sneaker that said Vision. And then, of course, taking another top-down look, you have all 3M going down the tongue as well. Really, really nice touch. I was hoping that they put a little bit of 3M on these, and again, at nighttime, it's just really gonna pop very, very nicely. Really, really like that touch with the piping around the shoe as well. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the Jaden Smith Vision Racer from New Balance. And I don't know about you guys, like I said, they're okay. I mean, I don't know, a lot of people may like them, a lot of people may not like them, but for me, they're decent. They're not bad. And I do like the different colorways a little bit more than I like the white. The yellow is kind of nice to me, but don't know, it is what it is. But overall, it's the mission of the sneaker, and that's what it's all about. The vegan materials and the vegan sneakers that are seeking to do more with sustainability and leaving less of that carbon footprint. Now, what you guys may not know is that there is actually a lot of small sneaker brands and startup shoe companies out there that are also doing their part for the environment as well. There's an Australian brand called No Saints that specializes in vegan footwear, and the way that they make it is a special process that makes the sneakers feel exactly like the real leather without them actually being animal derived. There's a startup company in Vancouver that's called Vessi, something like that, but they make waterproof vegan sneakers, which is very interesting because a lot of the materials that you normally would see in a vegan sneaker normally are not waterproof. These may look good, but I wouldn't take a Space Hippie or the Jordan 1 Crater and put it in some water. I think that's just asking for trouble. There's even a brand called Dope Kicks, and they actually make sneakers out of cannabis hemp, hence the name Dope. But it's all in an effort, once again, to lower the carbon footprint for these companies. So let's talk a little bit about exactly what that is. I'm gonna give you guys kind of the 30-second rundown of why this is so important. You guys may have heard the words climate change a lot lately in the news and in different presidential symposiums. They talk about it on debates and things of that nature, but maybe you just need a really scaled down, easy to understand version of what in the world is going on when it comes to climate change. So let me break it down in terms of sneakers for you. Remember back when we learned about photosynthesis and it looked like that picture with the big circle on it? It talked about how plants take in certain carbon dioxide and they release oxygen out into the air and things of that nature. Well, that oxygen that gets given off from those plants during photosynthesis is what's known as a GHG, or greenhouse gas. Other greenhouse gases are ozone, methane, nitrous oxide, things like that. So basically the earth is telling us with these gases that that's all the gases that the earth really needs and can sustain in order to maintain a standard and steady climate all around us, the weather. But what happens is that when you have factories like a Nike or a New Balance or a lot of big factories that produce all those big smokestacks and all that stuff into the air, it releases a lot more of that carbon into the air. Hence why it's called increasing the carbon footprint. So what ends up happening is that too much carbon gets put into the air, and what that translates into is a shift in that stability in the Earth's climate makes the Earth hotter. So as the Earth becomes warmer and warmer, temperatures go up, and you have a lot of issues like we're seeing these days with animals being endangered and extinct, and the issues with the water and everything like that that you're seeing out here. And it all has to do with the waste and the output that's being put back into the environment. It's too much carbon going out there. So what a lot of companies have started to do is take all of their scraps and all of their trash that normally would have contributed to that carbon footprint and lower all that waste that they normally would have been producing in order to create a more sustainable environment. And it's a really dope cause because in a lot of these companies' cases, they've also learned how to make $1 off of it. And in Nike's case, it makes a ton of sense the way they're doing it. It's pretty genius, honestly, because they're making a huge profit off the sneakers that they're selling already. They take the trash from the sneakers that they already made a huge profit on, they revamp the scraps, and they go back and they make more money all over again. Now, my big hope is that all these companies are making basically double the money because this sneaker is comprised of a bunch of other sneakers that Nike already made money on. If you're gonna make 2 times the money, contribute not just to your carbon footprint being reduced, but also financially to a lot of the causes out there. Now, I hope that we see more and more of that as we go on. And this isn't Nike's first time around the rodeo either. You guys may remember that they just came out in August with the recycled canvas pack that actually featured a bunch of their most popular models like the Air Max 90, Air Max 95, the Air Force 1, and they put that recycled canvas material on top of it. And then a couple of the sneakers like the Cortez, I believe, and the Daybreak, I believe, actually included some of the crater foam in the midsole of that shoe as well. So this technology isn't brand new. It's been used before, but it's been used a little bit more low key. But my point is that if Nike is going to be doing all of these things, all sustainable, to make a bunch of profit, hopefully we see that money being translated into a lot of green initiatives to make sure that the sustainability goals are met. Now, a lot of these people are moving towards what they call a net zero carbon footprint. What that means is that what they're putting out there carbon wise offsets directly with what they're saving as far as lowering their carbon footprint. Now, that's also achieved by doing things called buying carbon credits. Now, carbon credits are actually credits, literal credits that you can buy from other companies that are producing underneath what they have the ability to make their carbon footprint to be. So they actually sell some of that carbon footprint to other companies. My hope is that Nike and all these other companies aren't just using the extra money that they're making off things like Space Hippies in order to buy pollution credits to artificially lower their carbon footprint and make them carbon neutral, quote unquote, but they're actually doing the real work to make make sure that their carbon footprint is low enough where it needs to be to sustain the world a little bit more. Honestly, I think it's a bit of a gray area when you're talking corporate talk. I think it's going to be a mix of them buying carbon credits with the new fresh money that they've been producing from making sneakers like the Space Hippies and the Jordan 1 Carbons and all these other sneakers, and it's going to be them actually working to reduce their carbon footprint as well. It's going to be a mix. So while the campaign sounds really, really good, I do think that there's a little bit of corporate in there, but that's another conversation for another day. All in all, again, I will say I applaud the companies that are going vegan, that are actually taking out using animal products, that are reducing animal cruelty being used and contributing to a better and cleaner and greener earth at the same time. I can't wait to see more products like this, more vegan friendly sneakers, more sneakers that are doing more to reduce the carbon footprint. Because honestly, guys, it's the only world that we got. And even though it's a crazy world, it's still the only one that we got. We got to do our part to make sure that we're taking care of it. So with all that said, that's about all that I have to say about all these sneakers and everything having to do with climate change. Sorry for the science lesson. If you guys didn't want to hear it, I apologize for that. But now it's time for you guys to sound off and let me know what you guys think about the Jordan 1 Craters, the Jaden Smith Vision Bracers, the Space Hippie collection, the Recycle Canvas collection, any of the other brands that I've talked about today, or climate change and global warming in general. What is your take on it? Some people think it's a fake thing. Do you think it's not a real thing? And what do you think about the companies doing all of these new sustainability initiatives? Do you think there's a little bit of hype around it and people are just jumping on the bandwagon? Or do you think that these companies really do have some good intentions on making a cleaner and greener earth? Sound off down below. I'd love to know. Of course, right down in the comments, make sure that you click on that subscribe button so we can welcome you into the Sneaker Fetish family to make sure you don't miss out on any more heat that comes through like these, because I guarantee you I got a lot more heat on the way. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on Sneaker Fetish, taking a look at these with me, unboxing them with me for a couple of minutes. I go by the name of Kari. This is the Air Jordan 1 Crater. This is the Space Hippie 01. This is the New Balance and Jaden Smith Vision Racer. And until next time, I'm out.